The shuttle doors opened with a soft hiss, and Amy Park stepped onto Station Nexus 7 for the first time. She was 15 years old, barely 5 feet tall, and she carried a pink backpack covered in cute cartoon stickers. Her dark hair was tied back with a simple ribbon, and she wore a modified version of her old Earth School uniform. The pleated skirt and blazer made her look like any ordinary teenager going to class. She was not ordinary, but nobody here knew that yet. The Galactic Academy was the most famous school in the known universe. Students came from hundreds of different planets to study here. Amy saw creatures she had only read about in books. Tall beings with skin like glass that glowed from inside. Bug-like aliens with sharp mouths and too many legs. Fish people who walked around in special suits filled with water. Every species in the galaxy seemed to have sent their children here. And now, for the first time ever, they had a human. Amy felt hundreds of eyes turn toward her as she walked through the arrival hall. She heard whispers in languages her translator chip turned into words she could understand. Is that the Deathworlder? She is so small. How does her species survive? Look at her soft skin. No armor at all. Amy kept her face calm and friendly. She had practiced this smile many times in the mirror back home. It was the smile of a normal girl who was a little nervous about her first day at a new school. Nothing more. A tall alien approached her. His body was made of something that looked like living crystal, and patches of his skin glowed with soft blue light. He moved carefully, as if he was afraid of breaking something just by walking. "Hello," he said. His voice sounded like wind chimes. "I am Tommy Wilson. The Academy asked me to help you find your way around. You must be the human exchange student." Amy bowed her head slightly. It was a habit from her childhood. "Thank you for helping me. I am Amy Park. Please take care of me." Tommy's glowing patches flickered. Amy had already learned that this meant confusion or amusement in his species. "You are very polite," he said. "I was told humans were different." "Different how?" "Dangerous." Tommy said the word like it tasted strange in his mouth. "Your species file has many warnings. But you seem..." He looked at her pink backpack, her ribbon, her small hands. "You seem like a baby animal. Not scary at all." Amy just smiled. "We come in all types." As Tommy led her through the station, Amy quietly studied everything around her. She noted the location of exits. She counted the security guards and memorized their patrol patterns. She identified which species moved slowly and which moved fast. She calculated how long it would take her to reach safety from any point in the hallway. This was not something she chose to do. It happened automatically, like breathing. Her brain had been trained to see the world this way since she was 12 years old. The academy was beautiful. The halls were wide and filled with natural light from huge windows that showed the stars outside. Plants from dozens of worlds grew in carefully maintained gardens. Everything was clean and peaceful and safe. Amy did not trust it. On Earth, she had learned that safe places could become dangerous very quickly. Beautiful things could hide terrible secrets. And the moment you stopped watching for threats was the moment those threats found you. But she pushed those thoughts down deep into the dark place inside her where the hunter lived. She was here to be a student. She was here to prove that humans could be more than monsters. She was here to be normal. Tommy showed her the classrooms, the dining hall, the recreation areas. Other students stared at her everywhere she went. Some of them seemed curious. Others seemed afraid. A few seemed angry, though Amy did not understand why. "Your room is here," Tommy said finally, stopping in front of a plain door. "It has been modified for human needs. Oxygen levels, temperature, gravity. They say your species requires very specific conditions." "Earth is a demanding planet," Amy agreed. "I've heard stories," Tommy said. His voice became quieter, almost respectful. They say your world has water that falls from the sky, fire that comes from the ground, wind that destroys buildings. Is this true? Amy thought about rainstorms that flooded entire cities, about volcanoes that buried towns in ash, about hurricanes that erased coastlines from the map. She thought about the collapse, when all of these things happened at once, and humans turned on each other because there was not enough food or water or shelter for everyone. Yes, she said simply. It is true. How does anything survive there? Amy looked at Tommy. He was 3 feet taller than her. His crystal body could probably stop a bullet. His species lived on moons with gravity so strong that Amy would be crushed flat in seconds. And yet he looked at her with something like fear in his glowing eyes. We adapt, she said. Or we die. Those are the only choices Earth gives us. She entered her room and closed the door behind her. For a long moment, she just stood there in the darkness, breathing slowly. Then she began her security check. She examined every corner of the room. She tested the door lock. She identified objects that could be used as weapons if needed. She found a ventilation shaft and memorized its size in case she needed an escape route. When she was finished, she sat on the bed and pulled out a small photograph from her backpack. It showed a family of 4 standing in front of a small house. A mother, a father, a little girl, and a baby brother. Everyone was smiling. The cherry trees behind them were full of pink flowers. The photograph was 7 years old. 3 of the people in it were dead. Amy touched the face of her mother gently. I made it, she whispered. I am at the academy. I am going to be normal now. I am going to make you proud. She put the photograph under her pillow and lay down. Outside her window, a million stars burned in the darkness of space. They were cold and distant and did not care about one small human girl trying to escape her past. Inside Amy, the hunter stirred. It did not sleep, not really. It just waited, watching, ready, because no matter how far she ran, no matter how normal she pretended to be, Amy Park was a child of Earth, and Earth did not raise children. Earth raised survivors. The Academy did not know this yet, but they would learn. They would all learn. 3 weeks passed at the Galactic Academy. Amy attended her classes. She studied xenobiology and galactic history. She learned about species she had never heard of and planets that made Earth look like a peaceful garden. She smiled at her classmates and answered their curious questions about humans. No, humans could not regrow lost limbs. Yes, humans needed to sleep for 8 hours every day. No, humans did not actually eat other sentient beings. Yes, humans really did come from a planet where water fell from the sky as liquid. Amy was patient with all of it. She was building a reputation as a quiet, polite, harmless creature. The kind of human that other species did not need to fear. But not everyone believed her act. David Chun was a Crix, an insect-like species with 6 legs, sharp mandibles, and a hard shell that covered his entire body. He was large for his kind, nearly 7 feet tall, and he walked through the academy like he owned it. His family was wealthy and powerful. No one ever told him no. David had decided from the first day that he did not like the human. It started with small things. He would bump into Amy in the hallways, knocking her books from her hands. He would make comments about her soft skin and weak muscles loud enough for her to hear. He would laugh with his friends about how pathetic her species was. Amy ignored all of it. She picked up her books. She walked away from his insults. She kept her smile in place like armor. But the hunter inside her was watching. And it was keeping count. The breaking point came on a Tuesday. In the dining hall during lunch, Amy was walking toward the food machines when David stepped into her path. 3 of his friends flanked him, their mandibles clicking with anticipation. The dining hall went quiet. Everyone knew something was about to happen. "Hey, Deathworlder," David said. His voice was like breaking glass. "I have a question for you." Amy stopped. Her face showed nothing. "Yes? I heard your planet has real weather. Rain and wind and fire falling from the sky." He leaned down toward her, his sharp mouth inches from her face. "How do you weaklings survive? Do you just hide in holes and hope nothing kills you?" "We adapt," Amy said quietly. "Adapt?" David made a horrible laughing sound. "You cannot even lift a standard cargo container. Your bones break if you fall down wrong. You need to breathe every few seconds or you die. Face it, little mammal. Your species is a mistake. You should have died on that rock." Amy did not respond. She just looked at him with her calm, dark eyes. This made David angry. He wanted her to cry. He wanted her to run. He wanted to see fear in those strange human eyes. Instead, he saw nothing at all. "What is wrong with you?" he demanded. "Are you stupid? Do you not understand that I am threatening you?" "I understand," Amy said. "I am choosing not to respond. Because you are scared? Because I am trying to be normal." Amy's voice was still quiet, still calm. "I came here to learn, not to fight. So I am going to ask you, very politely, to move out of my way." David grabbed her arm. His grip was strong enough to crack stone. In his experience, this was usually the point where other species started begging. Amy did not beg. Instead, something changed in her eyes. It was small, just a tiny shift, like a light switching off in a room. One moment she was a scared little girl. The next moment she was something else entirely. "Let go of my arm," she said. Her voice was different now, flat, cold, empty of everything human. "Or what?" David laughed. "What will you do, little mammal? Cry at me?" Amy moved. No one in the dining hall could explain later what exactly happened. The security cameras showed it in slow motion, and even then it was hard to follow. One frame she was standing still. The next frame David was on the ground, with 3 of his legs bent at wrong angles. And Amy was standing over him, with one small hand pressed against the soft joint between his head and his body. His friends had not even had time to react. They stood frozen, their mandibles hanging open in shock. "On Earth," Amy said softly, "we have something called pressure points. Soft spots on the body where a small amount of force can cause great damage." She pressed slightly harder, and David made a sound that Amy had heard many times before. The sound of something that knew it was about to die. "I just found yours." "Please," David whimpered. "Please do not. If I press a little harder, you will never walk again." "Press harder than that." Amy tilted her head, looking curious. "I have never tried it on a Crix before. Do you want to find out what happens?" "No. No, please. I'm sorry. I will never." "Good." Amy removed her hand and stepped back. She smoothed her skirt as if nothing had happened. "I really do not like fighting. It is messy. And I am trying very hard to be normal here." She stepped over David's trembling body and walked to the food machines. She selected her meal with steady hands. Then she carried her tray to an empty table and sat down alone. The dining hall remained frozen in silence. 500 students from dozens of species stared at the small human girl eating her lunch peacefully, as if she had not just disabled a creature twice her size in less than a second. Tommy was the first to move. He walked to Amy's table and sat down across from her. His crystalline skin was flickering wildly. "What?" he started. "What was that?" Amy looked up from her food. Her eyes were normal again, warm and slightly tired. "I gave him a warning," she said. "He did not listen. So I gave him a lesson. You could have killed him." "Yes." Amy took a bite of her food. "I chose not to? Why?" Amy was quiet for a moment. When she spoke, her voice was sad. Because I am trying to be better than what Earth made me. I am trying to prove that humans can be gentle. That we are not just monsters. She looked down at her small hands. But sometimes the monster is the only language certain people understand. Behind them, medical staff arrived to carry David away. His friends had already fled. The other students slowly returned to their meals, but they kept glancing at Amy's table. The quiet human girl was not so quiet after all. The harmless creature had claws, and somewhere in the Academy's computer system, an administrative AI quietly updated Amy Park's file. The warning had said, Deathworld origin. Extreme caution advised. The AI added a new note. Warning confirmed. Threat level maximum. Amy finished her lunch and smiled at Tommy. Would you like to study together later? She asked, as if nothing had happened. I am having trouble with the xenobiology homework. Tommy looked at her for a long moment. Then he laughed, a sound like wind chimes in a storm. Sure, he said. I would like that. He was beginning to understand something important about humans. They were not just dangerous because they could kill you. They were dangerous because you could never tell when they might decide to do it. And Amy Park, with her pink backpack and her polite smile, might be the most dangerous human of all. The Academy's annual survival course was required for all students. Every year, they sent groups of young aliens to a moon called Theta 6, where they had to survive in the wilderness for 2 days. The teacher said it built character. The students mostly complained about it. When Amy read the information packet, something woke up inside her. Something she had worked very hard to keep sleeping. The moon had forests, rivers, mountains, wild animals that had been placed there for students to track and study. It was supposed to be safe, controlled, educational. To Amy, it looked like home. She was assigned to a team of 5. Tommy, the crystal alien, was there, his skin flickering with nervous light. Lisa Kim was a Delmer, a fish-like creature who wore a special suit filled with water. There were 2 Crick siblings who had avoided David Chun's group ever since the incident in the dining hall. And there was Mike, a being made of living gas contained in a humanoid-shaped suit. Their supervisor was a huge alien who looked like a rhinoceros walking on 2 legs. His body was covered in old scars. His eyes were hard and cold. The rules are simple, he announced to all the teams. Survive for 48 hours. Find food. Build shelter. Return to the pickup point. No technology beyond basic tools. He looked directly at Amy. This includes any special advantages your species might have. Amy smiled her normal smile. I will try my best. They dropped her team in a valley surrounded by tall trees with purple leaves. The air smelled like flowers and rain. Birds with too many wings sang in the branches above. It was beautiful and peaceful and perfect. Amy did not relax for 1 second. We should find water first, Lisa said. Her voice bubbled through her suit's speakers. Then shelter. The packet said temperatures drop at night. I agree, Tommy said. We can follow the slope downhill. Water flows to low ground on most planets. Everyone looked at Amy, waiting for her opinion. She had not moved since they landed. Her eyes were scanning the tree line, her head tilted slightly as if listening for something far away. Amy? Tommy asked. Are you okay? Something is wrong, Amy said quietly. Wrong how? The birds stopped singing. Everyone went silent. They listened. Tommy was right. The forest had gone completely quiet. No animal sounds at all. Just the whisper of wind through purple leaves. What does that mean? One of the Crick siblings asked. On Earth, it means predators are close. Amy's voice had changed. It was flatter now, colder. Get behind me, everyone. Now. We should run, Tommy said. His crystal skin was flickering with fear. We should find somewhere safe, and running triggers chase instincts in most predators. Stand still. The first creature came out of the trees 30 seconds later. It was called a stalker. Amy had read about them in the packet. They were supposed to be kept in a special secured area on the other side of the moon. They were not supposed to be here. The stalker was the size of a large dog with 6 legs and no eyes. Its skin was dark and smooth, and its mouth was full of teeth that were too long for its head. It tracked its prey through sound and heat, and it was very, very good at killing. There were 6 of them. They spread out in a half circle around Amy's team, moving with the patience of creatures that knew their prey could not escape. "What do we do?" Lisa whispered. "What do we do? What do we do? What do we—" Lisa. Amy's voice cut through the panic. "Can you make fog? Your suit has moisture controls." Yes, but do it now. As much as you can." Amy was already moving, shrugging off her jacket, pulling something from her boot. A small knife, about 6 inches long. It was allowed under the basic tools rule. "Mike, can you lower your suit's heat output?" "I can try." Mike's voice came from his gas containment suit. "But what are you going to?" "Stay in the fog. Stay quiet. Stay together. Where are you going?" Tommy demanded. Amy looked at him. Her eyes were completely empty now. No fear, no hesitation, no humanity at all. Just cold calculation, like a machine processing data. "I am going to hunt them before they hunt us." She disappeared into the trees. For the next 20 minutes, Amy's team huddled in the fog that Lisa created. They could not see more than a few feet in any direction. They could only listen. At first, they heard the stalkers moving around them. The soft pad of 6-legged feet. The clicking of those terrible teeth. The creatures were circling, trying to find a way through the fog. Then they heard something else. A scream, high and sharp, cut off suddenly. Then another. Then a wet sound, like meat hitting the ground. Then silence. Then, quietly, a voice. Amy's voice. She was singing something in a language none of them understood. The melody was soft and slow, like a song you would sing to help a baby sleep. The singing stopped. More screams. More wet sounds. More silence. When Amy walked back out of the fog, she was covered in black blood. None of it was hers. She was holding her knife in one hand, and it dripped with things that Tommy did not want to think about. She was smiling. "There were 6 of them," she said, wiping the blade clean on some leaves. 5 now. The last one ran away. She looked at her team, at their horror, their disbelief, their fear. For just a moment, something like sadness crossed her face. "I am sorry. I know that was a lot. You killed 5 stalkers," Lisa whispered. "With a knife. By yourself. They were threatening my team." Amy shrugged like this was a normal thing to say. "On Earth, we call it going feral. When the survival part of your brain takes over and the thinking part goes to sleep. It happens sometimes when there is danger." "You were singing," Tommy said. His voice was shaking. "While you were killing them, you were singing." Amy was quiet for a moment. "It is an old song. My mother used to sing it to me when I was scared." She looked down at her bloody hands. "I do not know why I sing it at times like this. Maybe it helps me remember that I am still human." No one knew what to say to that. Amy cleaned herself off as best she could with water from a nearby stream. She checked her team for injuries. She found a good spot for them to make camp, somewhere defensible with clear sight lines in all directions. That night she stayed awake while the others slept. She sat with her back against a tree, her knife in her hand, her eyes watching the darkness for any movement. Tommy woke up once, around midnight, and saw her sitting there. The stars above made her look small and lonely. "You should sleep," he said. "I do not need much sleep," Amy replied. Humans can function for days without rest if we have to. It is not healthy, but we can do it. Why would you need to do that? Amy was quiet for a long time. When she spoke, her voice was very soft. Because on Earth, sometimes the things that want to kill you do not sleep either. And if you close your eyes before they do, you never open them again. Tommy did not know what to say. So he just lay back down and tried to sleep, knowing that the small human girl would keep watching over them until morning came. She did not close her eyes once. The story spread through the academy like fire. The human girl had killed 5 stalkers with nothing but a small knife. She had done it alone in the dark while singing a lullaby. She had walked out of the fog covered in blood and smiling. Students stopped seeing Amy as the small, harmless human. Now they saw something else when they looked at her. They watched the way she moved through the halls, always aware of everything around her. They noticed how she positioned herself near exits without seeming to think about it. They saw the economy in every motion she made, nothing wasted, everything purposeful. Some students admired her. Some feared her. Most did both. David Chun and his friends never bothered Amy again. In fact, they changed their route through the academy specifically to avoid any hallway where she might be walking. When someone asked David why, he just shook his head and said nothing. But Tommy was not afraid. Tommy was curious. He found Amy one evening on the observation deck, a quiet place where students could sit and watch the stars through a huge glass window. She was alone, her knees pulled up to her chest, her eyes fixed on something far away. "Can I sit here?" Tommy asked. Amy nodded without looking at him. They sat in silence for a while. The stars wheeled slowly outside, thousands of burning lights in the endless dark. It was beautiful and terrifying and made Tommy feel very small. "What happened to you?" he finally asked. "Before you came here. What made you? The way you are?" Amy was quiet for so long that Tommy thought she would not answer. When she spoke, her voice was soft, almost a whisper. "Earth is not just a death world because of the weather or the predators or the gravity," she said. "It is a death world because humans live there. And humans are very good at hurting each other." "The collapse," Tommy said. "I read about it in your species file. A global disaster. Cities destroyed. Billions dead. The file tells you what happened. It does not tell you what it was like. What was it like?" Amy closed her eyes. When she opened them again, Tommy saw something old and tired looking back at him. Something that should not exist in a 15-year-old girl. "I was 12 when the cities fell," she said. "My family lived in a big city called Seoul. It was beautiful. There were parks and restaurants and schools. Normal things. Safe things." She paused. "Then the power grid failed. The crops died. The water stopped flowing. And people became animals." "What happened to your family?" "My parents did not survive the first winter." Amy's voice was flat, empty of emotion. "They gave their food to me and my little brother. They did not eat for weeks so that we could eat. By the time I realized what they were doing, it was too late." Tommy said nothing. "What could you say to something like that?" "My brother got sick a few months later. I tried to save him. I did everything I could. But he was only 6 years old, and I did not know how to help him." Amy looked down at her hands. "He died in his sleep. I stayed with his body for 3 days before I could make myself leave." "Amy, I am so sorry." "Do not be. Many people lost more than I did. And I survived. Me and about 200 other children who made it to the mountain camps." Her voice grew harder. "We learned to hunt, to trap, to fight. We did what we had to do to stay alive. Some of us did things that I do not like to remember." "How old were you?" 12 when it started. 15 when the rescue teams found us." Amy laughed, but there was no humor in it. They called us feral children, wild animals in human shape. They put us in special programs to teach us how to be normal again, how to wear clothes and eat with utensils and talk to people without calculating how to kill them first. Did it work? Amy finally looked at Tommy. Her eyes were ancient, tired, and filled with a sadness that he could not fully understand. I am here, am I not? Wearing my uniform, attending my classes, smiling at my classmates. She shook her head. But the survival part of my brain never turns off. Every time I walk into a room, I count the exits. Every time I meet someone new, I calculate how to neutralize them if they attack me. Every time I close my eyes, I see the things I did to stay alive. That sounds exhausting. It is. It is. You have no idea how exhausting. Amy rested her chin on her knees. But I keep trying. Every single day, I choose to be a person instead of a predator. I choose to be gentle when I could be violent. I choose to trust when every instinct tells me to suspect. Why? Amy was quiet for a moment. Because my mother asked me to. Your mother? The last thing she said to me, before she died, was, "Be kind, Amy, no matter what happens. Be kind." That is how you stay human. Tears appeared in Amy's eyes, but she did not wipe them away. I made her a promise, and I will keep that promise even if it kills me. Tommy looked at the small human girl beside him. He saw her soft skin and her dark hair and her small hands. He saw the ribbon in her hair and the tears on her cheeks. She looked fragile. She looked young. She looked like someone who needed protection. But he also saw something else now. He saw the steel underneath the softness. The predator, hiding behind the smile. The survivor who would walk through hell and come out the other side still trying to be human. You are the strongest person I have ever met, Tommy said. Amy laughed. A real laugh this time, surprised and a little embarrassed. I am just a girl trying not to become a monster. That is exactly what I mean. Tommy's crystal skin glowed warmly. Anyone can become a monster. It is easy. You just stop caring about anyone except yourself. But staying human, staying kind, after everything you have been through. He shook his head. That takes more strength than fighting ever could. Amy wiped her eyes with the back of her hand. Thank you, Tommy. That means more than you know. They sat together in comfortable silence, watching the stars wheel slowly past the window. Two very different creatures from two very different worlds, finding something like friendship in the vast darkness between them. Tommy? Amy said eventually. Yes? I am glad I came here. I'm glad I met you. Tommy's whole body glowed with warmth. I am glad too, Amy, even if you are terrifying. Amy smiled. And for the first time since she arrived at the academy, the smile reached all the way to her eyes. Everyone on Earth is terrifying, she said. I am actually one of the gentle ones. Tommy thought about the 5 stalkers dead in the forest. He thought about David Chun lying broken on the dining hall floor. He thought about the cold emptiness in Amy's eyes when the hunter woke up inside her. If this was one of the gentle humans. He did not want to meet the others, but sitting here, watching the stars with his friend, Tommy also thought about something else. He thought about a 12-year-old girl giving her food to a dying brother. About a mother who taught her daughter to be kind, even when kindness meant weakness. About a survivor who chose, every single day, to stay human. Maybe that was what made humans truly dangerous. Not their violence, but their determination to be more than violent. Not their capacity for cruelty, but their stubborn, impossible belief that they could be better. Earth did not make monsters. Tommy realized. Earth made something much more complicated. Earth made humans, and humans were just beginning to show the galaxy what that meant. Amy was in the library, studying for a xenobiology test, when the alarm started screaming. Red lights flashed in the ceiling. The station's I announced in a calm voice that there was a security breach in 4 locations. All students were ordered to proceed to the emergency shelters. Amy did not go to the shelters. She closed her book, stood up, and walked toward the sound of gunfire. The pirates were called the Scourge. They were slavers and organ harvesters, the worst kind of criminals in the galaxy. They raided stations and ships, taking everything valuable and killing everyone else. The Galactic Police had been hunting them for years without success. Now they were here, on a station full of wealthy alien children, and they thought this would be an easy job. They were wrong. Lisa found Amy in the hallway outside the library. The fish alien was shaking so hard that water sloshed inside her suit. "Amy, what are you doing?" "We need to hide." "You need to hide," Amy agreed. Her voice was calm and flat. The hunter was awake now. "Take as many students as you can to the secure bunker in Section 7. The door code is 7749. "How do you know that?" "I watched the security chief enter it last week." Amy was already pulling things from her backpack. Things that should not have been there. A collapsible metal baton. A thin wire that had been disguised as a hair ribbon. Something that looked like a makeup compact but unfolded into a blade. "Go now. Quickly. What about you?" Amy looked at Lisa. Her eyes were completely empty, like windows into a dark room. "I'm going to buy you time. There are dozens of them. They have guns. You cannot possibly." "Lisa?" Amy's voice was gentle but final. "On Earth, there is an animal called a honeybee. Very small, very soft. But when something threatens the hive, the bees swarm. They can kill creatures 1,000 times their size. Not because they are strong, but because they will die to protect what matters." She squeezed Lisa's arm. "Humans are like bees, except we are much harder to kill." She turned and walked into the darkness of the corridor. Lisa watched her go, her heart pounding in her chest. The small human girl looked so tiny against the shadows. So young, so fragile. Then Amy disappeared around a corner, and Lisa heard a scream. Not Amy's scream. Someone else's. Lisa ran toward the bunker. What happened next would become a legend among the galactic species. The security cameras recorded everything, and the footage would be studied by military academies for years to come. Amy did not fight the way the Scourge expected. She did not stand in the open and exchange fire like a soldier. She moved through the station like a ghost, using the darkness and the chaos and the pirates' own assumptions against them. They saw a schoolgirl in a pleated skirt. They hesitated, just for a second, confused by the impossibility of her presence. That second was all Amy needed. She took their weapons and used them better than they did. She created distractions, leading groups of pirates into dead ends where she was waiting. She set traps using nothing but furniture and emergency equipment. She used the maintenance tunnels, where her small size was an advantage and their numbers meant nothing. The Scourge had done this 100 times before. They were professionals. They worked in teams and covered each other and communicated through secure channels. None of it mattered. Amy broke them apart, one by one. She targeted their leaders first, the ones giving orders, leaving the others confused and scared. She attacked from angles they did not expect, at times they did not predict. She was everywhere and nowhere, a demon in the shape of a teenage girl. After an hour, the pirates stopped hunting students and started hunting her. After 2 hours, they stopped hunting and started running. After 3 hours, the survivors gathered in a cargo bay and refused to leave. Weapons abandoned on the floor. When the galactic peacekeepers finally arrived, they found 47 Scourge raiders. 11 were dead. 23 were injured too badly to walk. The rest had surrendered and were huddled in the corner, trembling. "There is something in the walls," their leader kept saying. His voice was high and broken. Something wearing a human child's face. Please, please just take us to prison. Anywhere but here. The peacekeepers found Amy in the central garden. She was sitting among flowers that had somehow survived the attack. Her arm was bleeding from a long cut. Her legs were burned from a glancing laser shot. One of her eyes was swollen shut. She was surrounded by students. Tommy and Lisa and the Crick siblings and dozens of others who had ignored the evacuation to stay with her. They sat around her in a circle, not touching, just present. Is everyone okay? Amy asked when the peacekeeper captain approached her. I tried to keep them busy, but I might have missed some. The captain was a decorated veteran. He had fought in 3 wars and seen things that would break most people. He had never seen anything like this. Everyone is safe, he said. Because of you. Amy nodded. Her body swayed slightly. The adrenaline was fading, and the pain was catching up. Good, she said. Then I would like to go to the infirmary now. And maybe call my grandmother. She worries. 3 weeks later, the academy held a ceremony. They gave Amy a medal. They made speeches about bravery and heroism and the bond between species. Amy sat in the front row in a new uniform, looking profoundly uncomfortable with all the attention. Afterward, Tommy found her trying to escape through a service corridor. You know, he said, falling into step beside her. Most people would enjoy being a hero. I am not a hero. I am just someone who survived long enough to learn how to protect things. Amy shook her head. That is all any human is. Survivors trying to build something worth surviving for. Is that why you came here? To the academy? Amy stopped walking. For a long moment, she just stood there, a small figure in a huge galaxy. I came here because I wanted to be more than what Earth made me, she said. I wanted to prove that humans can be gentle, that we can learn and grow and make friends with other species, that the monster inside me does not have to define who I am. I do not think you are a monster. That is because you have never seen what I am truly capable of. Amy looked at him with those ancient, tired eyes. But thank you for seeing me as something else. Thank you for treating me like a person. That matters more than you know. They walked in comfortable silence toward the observation deck. The human girl and the crystal alien. 2 very different creatures who had somehow become friends. Amy? Tommy said eventually. Yes? I am glad your species made it to the stars. Even if you are terrifying. Amy laughed. A real laugh, bright and young and full of something that might have been hope. Thanks, Tommy. I am glad we made it too. Above them, the stars continued their endless dance. Somewhere in the void, other species were hearing the story of the schoolgirl who broke a pirate army with nothing but basic tools and the terrible patience of a Deathworld. Hunter thought they would learn to fear that patience, but some of them, the wise ones, would learn something else. They would learn to be grateful that the monsters of Earth had chosen to be friends instead of conquerors, because the galaxy had never seen anything like humans before. And Amy Park, with her pink backpack and her polite smile and the hunter living under her skin, was just the beginning of humanity's place among the stars, the beginning of something wonderful and something terrifying, both at the same time, because that is what humans are. That is what Earth made them, and the galaxy would never be the same.